Welcome back to the Texans Probe today. We're here with special guest. We're here with Houston Stressans. He's been on before, but we're welcoming him back for the training camp episode. We're gonna kind of preview some of the training camp, go through what's already happened in camp, talk about some of the position groups, and go through some of the candidates that we think could break out in this camp. But Stressans, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you guys having me on, and it's an exciting time. I know the off season's long, and it's nice
Yeah,
to finally be back. So we made it.
we made it.
Sure,
Finally
definitely
back.
made it.
Whew.
Yeah, it was long, man. It felt like after the draft, it really goes slow. Up until the draft, you can kind
Yeah.
of get through it, and then once the draft hits, it goes really slow,
You
man.
gotta keep yourself busy
Um,
somehow.
yeah,
It was a
yeah,
long time ago.
yep. But obviously, we're real excited. Camp, the first open camp's on Saturday, so I'm gonna be there. I don't know about Stresses. I don't know if you'll be there. But I'm definitely excited about that, and we get to kind of see the team for the first time, see some of the position groups and players we've been looking forward to. So definitely excited about that. With that being said, let's just go ahead and get into our first topic. So just some of our thoughts from the reports that we've seen for the first 2 days. Drew, I'll let you start with this one. What are you thinking throughout camp so far? What have you seen, and what are you thinking?
Yeah, what I've seen is kind of what the main headline was. The defense is dominating the offensive line. Some things like Blake Fisher, hasn't really looked too good, but at the same time, he's going up against Will Anderson Jr., one of the most premier pass rushers in the NFL. So is how much are we really gonna factor in there? But
Yep.
I like looking at the different offensive line combinations. At some point it's going to start to mean something. It probably doesn't really mean too much right now because they keep rotating in. Like,
Yeah.
you see Jarrett Patterson with the ones, then you see Jake Andrews with the ones. You see the tackles, being mixed up, which is good. I like that they're both practicing left tackle, right tackle, talking about Ursary, Cam Robinson. I think that's a good thing. And also, it kind of seems like Titus Howard is probably going to play guard. So
Yeah.
that's another big takeaway there. And then once the pads come on, we'll see what is truly going on in the trenches. But right now, just keep an eye on those wide receivers, those corners, Jalen Smith, the Higgins, the Noel. See if they start to go off. But obviously, so far, the offense hasn't done too much.
Yep. Stressins, what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like we talked about, like none of us are there at practice, but luckily, like with the way technology is and all the great local beat reporters we have, it kind of feels like we are there. We can kind of follow along through videos and then reporting stuff. But my big takeaway would kind of be offensive line as well. But like the thing for me is the variety of lineups. And this is the same thing they did in the spring. In OTAs, and I know some people may look at that and think that's a bad thing. To me, it's a good thing. You're trying guys at different spots to see who's good where, but then you're also seeing which combination of five is the best. So to me, it's a great thing. In years past, like last year, the O line was pretty much set in stone, and then when things started to go awry, then you start trying guys at different spots middle of the season. So rather than do that later on, because it's going to happen, you're going to have injuries, or maybe somebody may not be up to snuff. You already do your homework now, so when that problem does arise, you already have an idea of who can do what. Another takeaway I noticed was kind of just from observing press conferences and from D'Amico Ryans, and he mentioned it twice in his press conference yesterday. He said the first day, normally when you return to the first day of camp, there's a lot of rustiness and getting back to doing football, is what he said. Like you kind of have errors in like communication and whatnot, but he praised all the communicators, the quarterback, the Mike linebacker, and the gunners on special teams. Basically, all the guys that kind of get people lined up and to do things operationally. He said it was really clean, and he said he credited that to obviously the players themselves being ready, but also the position coaches. So to me, that kind of tells you like this team is locked in and ready to go, and hopefully that's sustained. So a couple things that stood out to me.
Yep, I agree. I have the first team offensive line groups written down. I wrote them down throughout the week. So day one, for the first walkthrough, it was Cam Robinson, Laken Tomlinson, Jarrett Patterson, Titus Howard, Ariante Ursary from left to right. And then today, that group changed to it was Ariante Ursary, Laken Tomlinson, Jake Andrews, Titus Howard, Blake Fisher. So again, there's a good chance that neither of these offensive lines are
Right.
going to
Yeah.
start week one, but it's interesting to see Ariante Ursary is clearly going to get a shot to start because he's taking shots at both tackle spots. And really, like I said, I just talking and seeing what people are saying, he's clearly outplayed Blake Fisher through two games, and again, or 2 days. But again, it's hard to tell without pads on. Like, I think it does benefit having pads for a guy like Fisher who struggles more with power. Like, you're able to have a little bit more, where Ursary like struggles with movement. So adding the pads might slow him down even more. So it kind of, it'll be tough to see. We don't know for sure anything yet. Like, Blake Fisher could have an awesome camp still. It's very early. But he's gotten worked by a couple guys. He's gotten worked by Will Anderson. He's gotten worked by Solomon Byrd, who he's having an amazing offseason. D'Amico, that's another thing from the press conference. D'Amico's kind of short with answers a lot of times, but he talked for a minute and a half about Solomon Byrd today. He's very high on Solomon Byrd. Him and Jalen Petrie today got so much praise at the press conference.
But you also had a live Twitch stream with Titus, and he's Solomon Byrd, someone that he pointed out as well, right?
He did, yeah. He talked about Solomon Byrd being a guy that was pretty dominant in OTAs and minicamp, and really was beating everybody. Like, he was, it was Blake Fisher, it was Ursary, he was beating everybody. And I know pre-draft he was a guy. I know I didn't know much about it, but I know Brett Coleman was a huge fan of him. Like, he was really excited when the Texans took him. But he's a very fundamental player. He doesn't necessarily have like a ton of juice in the pass rush. I think his RAS was really low. Like, he doesn't have like super crazy bend or anything like that. But he's a fundamentally sound guy, and he finished up the season well at Tennessee too. That's the thing that D'Amico brought up. He had a sack in that game, week 18 . So
he's also a little older, more mature and polished, right? He's not like more. He's kind of like he's ready.
Yeah. I'm looking back at my scouting report on Solomon Byrd. This one, he came out. He was 24 years old. He was obviously a 7th-round pick. I gave him a mid-5th-round grade. I thought he had good get-off. Looked like he had play strength, active hands, a little bit of twitch. Just didn't, obviously, like you said, not the bendiest player, but a good football player. And it's important that there will at least be someone to pass the torch to when Danielle Hunter starts to get, older. But, of course, Solomon Byrd is already going to be, in his 27, 28, 29. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Exciting.
And, Jacob, do you mind if I have, like, my Instagram connected? Do you mind if I shout out some comments on there?
Absolutely not. No, I have the chat. I don't know if y'all can see it. I have the chat up. So
Yeah.
I think it might only be YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, so it only does
absolutely.
YouTube, X, and Facebook. Okay. But, I mean, to shout out Champagne Shep, he's from Texans on 3. He's in the IG chat. And then the lead, Houston Harley, he's in the chat. He made a comment. He said, unfortunately, Byrd might not make the team considering the depth of the D-line. So,
of course.
Just wanted to share your comments.
Yeah. It's an uphill battle for him to make the roster because you're going to have to beat out probably one of, Darrell Taylor or Derek Barnett.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Yeah. That's a really nasty combo.
Because Drew is a Derek Barnett super fan.
Yeah.
And I like Darrell Taylor.
Darrell Taylor.
Exactly.
And then Danico Autry can play edge as well.
Both,
so, I mean, we pretty much have 5 on lock to an extent,
Yeah, so it would be tough for him to make it, but he can play somewhere in the NFL, like whether it's here or he goes to a different team, he'll find a roster spot somewhere because he can play. So and like you said, so you got the offensive line groupings; they've been very different. And like you said, Stressans, yesterday it seemed like the offensive and just the communication in general was pretty smooth. Today seemed a little bit more chaos ensuing, drop snaps, interceptions, stuff that, that can't happen in actual games. But that's it's July. It's still July. So you kind of expect that. But, it was impressive to hear, at least for me, the fact that the offense probably won the first day. They had a pretty good day because I remember last training camp, the offense didn't win a lot. There was very few days where the offense had good days, even just being at those practices. So, and this defense is loaded at every spot. So if you can make it work against those guys, you'll probably be all right offense.
What's funny about last year is you're right. Like, offense just got dominated the entire camp, but like we didn't know. We just thought, oh, that's just our defense being really good, and our O-line wasn't back. So we all just thought that was not going to be what the season was like. But basically all the little signs that we saw during camp held out to be true. Like, like O-line
Yes, they did.
struggling. Like even in like the joint practice with the Rams, they got dominated by the Rams D-line. Rams D-line turned out to be good. Our O-line turned out to be bad.
Yeah.
Guys like Kamari Lassiter who balled out the whole off-season camp, we didn't know if that was going to be true. It was true. So,
Yeah.
a lot of the observations we have, like they tend to kind of carry over. And then real quick on your point on, or unless you want to get your thought in real quick.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say too, like, so like the communication stuff, and you mentioned today from the reports and the local reporters, it was a little sloppier operational wise. I came to the realization recently from watching, the quarterback episode on Netflix, Kirk Cousins with the Falcons, they had Zach Robinson, who's a first-time OC with the Falcons.
Yeah.
And I kind of noticed Kirk was talking about the playbook and talking about how extensive it was and all the motions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like for him, someone who's been in several offenses, like saying like this is a lot. It made me realize, okay, that's how it's gonna be for the Texans. You would assume. And then that week 2, week 3 game against the Steelers, they show a clip of where they motion the tight end, but he motions too soon. The ball snaps, it hits him, and T.J. Watt picked up the fumble. So it made me realize, like, okay, like, hey, like, there's probably going to be some of this with us, and like, try not to get frustrated because it's new and it's a lot of moving parts. So yeah, the first day was great, but then now the second day we saw it, so it's probably going to be, just an up and down.
And I think unless I'm mistaken, I think Pittsburgh was week 1 for them. So that was like their very first game. So again, like there's going to be issues like, because that wasn't the only issue that they had like early on in the season. They had multiple games like that where they had penalties due to, illegal motions and stuff like, because I want to say, because I recently watched it too. And I think he said there was 45 different motions in the playbook. So you're going to see a lot of different types of motions and different things, which again are effective. It gives, your quarterback easy tells and easy answers for stuff. But it's it'll be different for a lot of the players where the Texans did a decent amount of pre-snap motion, but actual at the snap motion with Sloak, they did very little of that. So it's definitely going to be an adjustment for, the quarterback and everyone on the offensive line and, at the receiver room. That's kind of what I've been saying for a while is like, I think with Kaylee, you kind of almost have to wait for that bye because they like after that bye, you'll kind of see what the offense looks like. I think the first 5 weeks, you're going to see some real miscues. I think like it's not going to look great. I don't think. I think there's going to be ups. Like they'll probably have a couple of games where they look awesome, and then they might score 3 against a team. Like it might get ugly in a
possible
games.
Yeah.
But I think you get the week 6 bye, and then you come out. That's really when you're like, okay, this is what we want to see offensively. Like, this is what the offense is going to look like for the rest of the year going into the playoffs. So definitely have some patience with the offense this year.
Yeah.
A lot of different pieces. Okay, let's see. Anything else we have for training camp so far? Any other thoughts?
Not right now. I mean, we'll see. Maybe there's some more highlights out there, or someone starts to pop off in one-on-one situations, but I haven't seen anything of that sort yet.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like some of the stuff reported. Like Jalen Petrie had an interception today. Like I'm someone and I'm very high on him.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's tough. We can only scour over with what we have. So like, it's hard not to overanalyze when it's all you have is this stuff. But I mean, and also too, like I'll just say like my like take on the O-line is I'm not going to sit here and try and proclaim that I think and know who should be playing where when I can't watch the film or watch practice. Maybe if I go to practices and see stuff or if more, clips come out. But my thought process is just let it play out, man. Like just enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a multitude of different lineups. And for me right now, it's good. It's a good thing that they're, trying all their options. So I'm just enjoying the process.
Now, there is some aspects in terms of certain players and what they're capable of. It's like, for me, I think of Jarrett Patterson as a pure pass protector. I don't think of him as someone who is going to, bring a boost in the run game. And at this point, we kind of know what you get with Jarrett Patterson. He doesn't provide a boost in the run game. Jake Andrews, if you go all the way back to his days at Troy, was always a better run blocker than pass protector. So they have 2 completely different players to choose from to be their starting center. And then you kind of know what you get. You might know what you get with Juice Scruggs at this point. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be like he's fitting in with the NFL at this point. And then with Cam Robinson, looked pretty solid in Jacksonville. Went to Minnesota, started to struggle. But that's not really, like, you don't have to know much of the schematics to play left tackle. Why are we struggling in Minnesota when we weren't struggling too much in Jacksonville?
Yeah.
And so it's just it's really interesting, the options that they have. And then also still Trent Brown. They have Lakin Tomlinson, who can be just a solid, steady guy for you. So it'll be interesting.
Yep. Here, we can answer some of these chat questions if you want. There's a couple in here that are pretty good. So, should Tyus be telling everyone their plans to run a lot of double teams in the run game? I think people know that.
Sure. I think
people know that. Yeah.
Brandon, I would say a lot of teams and players and coaches, they'll say after the meetings or after practices to the press conference, we're gonna ground and pound the ball. We're gonna run the ball 40 times. Nick Caley said in his introductory press conference that we might run the ball 40 times. He's not afraid to say that because he wants to punish the opposing defense. He wants to punish them. Titus is ready, to get dirty in the run game as well.
Yeah, and Stressans, like you said earlier with the stream, he told me that from
right.
June.
He's not being shy about it whatsoever.
Yeah. He doesn't care what people think.
Well, it's not hard to put two and two together. Like we here as casual fans, like, hey, we need to run more gap scheme, more duo, more downhill run blocking. Like our personnel is built for it. So we go get a guy, that is able to do more of that. So like, of course, that's what we're gonna do. Like I'm glad to hear it, and like just because someone hears that doesn't mean that it's gonna be some advantage. And then also too, like they've said too, we're also going to evolve our offense based off the opponent that week. So just because that's what they're working on now doesn't mean that they're going to run that every week or every play. So, I love it, man. I wanted to hear that. Like, downhill football.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And this is like, this is what we need. We need the run game to alleviate everything. Like a lot of our problems last year were third and long, second and long, because we did this BS ass wide zone where you're running behind the line of scrimmage and getting tackled for a loss every other play, we want to get positive yards on first down running the ball, and the rest should fall in line.
Yeah, at the end of the day, what they can do is just run play action off of these double teams in the run game.
Yes, so explosive,
complementary football, Brandon. Yep. That's probably what we hope to see from the Nick Caley scheme.
Harley did say on Instagram, he said on his channel, Jonathan Alexander mentioned Dylan Horton as someone that could be on the bubble for the D-line.
Yeah.
So that's
good. Horton, I think – I don't remember if it was Stutz or Alexander today that said, like, Horton looked pretty good in practice, too. He looks very explosive. So he's always been pretty quick. Like, he's always had
such a traitsy player. That's exciting. Yeah.
Guys. Yeah. So there was some – there's a lot of competition on the defensive line just as a whole. Like there's gonna be they're gonna cut 2 or 3 guys that I think can play. Like you said, maybe Autry's on the bubble, like because he hasn't stayed healthy, and you could save some money by cutting him. So maybe he's a guy that gets cut. And I think Autry was very good for them last season when he played. He just didn't play a lot. So it would kind of be that would kind of be my Noah Brown thing again, where like just keep him. Like don't cut the guy that gets hurt. Just because he gets hurt, like let him play.
Wouldn't that have been nice?
But yeah, so and then we have Chris. So what's your Texans hot take? That's a pretty good one. Like for this season, we can all come up. I guess we just come up with one hot take. What are we thinking?
Hot take.
Stroud MVP.
There you go. Let's see. If I had to come up with one, I would say. I think I'll go. I don't know how much of a hot take it is, but I'll say that their defense finishes number 1 in like a lot of defensive. Like they will be the best defense.
I would say maybe Jaden Higgins finishes first in receiving touchdowns on the team.
Okay.
Ooh.
I like that. I think you could see.
The funny thing is, like Stroud and Nico Collins haven't really had much of a connection on the goal line fade.
Yeah,
I think maybe Jaden Higgins can add that a little more.
That is the one throw that Stroud consistently throws.
Right. He's not very good.
Well, they tried to do it early in the year last year, preseason and early, and they kind of went away from it.
Yeah, he doesn't throw him great, but he throws him like way too like line right.
It's so fast and
it's tough. Like,
what are we doing?
Yeah, it's not. Because, like, you would think that Nico would be – although I'm not a big goal line guy to begin with just because they're not very efficient players at all. But, if you want to do them on occasion – like, if there's one route that I'm like, you just can't throw that, I'd probably choose the goal line fade. Is like, that's okay. You can't throw a fade. But
Yeah, most of his red zone success with Nico is like slants or glance routes, and they're killer on it. So I mean, why break to the outside run of fade if you got the
Exactly.
inside on a slant all day?
exactly.
And that's probably another reason why they added Jane Higgins, because like, they're going to do that on one side, and then the Jane Higgins can do the same exact thing on the other side. It's going to be really hard for defenses to defend. It's weird. It sometimes seems weird to have two similar players on a roster, but I think in this case, with the new offensive coordinator and CJ Stroud is very comfortable with Nico Collins, I think it's just better. It's just a good addition. And then you still got Noel.
I agree. Yeah, so like I mean, y'all know me, I'm like super analytical. I was like, oh, we can't get another X receiver. But I did realize too that Higgins like played almost 30% slot, so he almost played he almost played like a Z type receiver, even though his frame is different.
Yeah.
And then like you factor in, a coordinator like Kaylee who's innovative and can adapt, and like obviously the Patriots in years past have found ways to do unconventional things. So I think it'll work. And then like they're big too. Like I think that's something we're forgetting about too. We're talking about the run game. You got Nico, you got Higgins, and now you got, even though Noel and Kirk aren't big, they seem like the gritty kind of guys. Like these are all guys that can block in the run game for you.
It feels like for me in New England, just real quick, like in New England and in Los Angeles, the receivers were always receivers that could play in the slot.
Exactly what I was going to say.
I mean, I know obviously in New England they're in the shorter white guys, but still, I mean, Puka can play in the slot. Cooper Kupp plays in the slot. Tutu Atwell, there are other options, all of that. Just a bunch of slot.
We were on stream here a while ago too, and we were breaking down plays. A lot of the insert motion. So like, not only are they in the slot, but they motion them inside of the box and they run through the C gap, and then you run play action off of it.
Yeah, and that really was something that started the last 2 years when Sean McVay brought Nick Caley in, and they went to more gap. Is that they did more of the insert stuff. So you can bet on the Texans doing that, because I would be shocked if they didn't do a lot of that. And like I said, I think Higgins projects as a guy that can really be dominant out of a bigger slot role. I think that is almost where, if you were just to pick where he would be his best, I think that's probably where it would be. I think that's because I think he's not like this Nico type, like he's going to go up and get the ball all the time. He kind of, even in college, he had some issues with that. Like he wasn't the most dominant at the catch point for a 6'4" guy. But, if he can do the over the middle stuff that Nico does and let Nico kind of be the deep threat, like let him do that, like the normal X stuff. And Stroud's so good at throwing into windows in the middle of the field. Like that's the type of stuff that Jaden Higgins can be very, very good at.
Yeah, and I guess something else too I thought about is, to tail off of that, like all the interviews that I've been, observing, like from players from spring until now, when they talk about the Nick Caley offense, and particularly Nico, he's said it like 5 or 6 times, like this is a playmaker's offense. And they talk about how he is going to get players in different spots, and it's not just going to be one rigid thing. Like, so they're making a concerted effort to work on mismatches or motion this guy here. So we're going to see guys all over the place. I mean, like Nico can line up in the slot, Higgins in the slot. I mean, so it'll be exciting to watch.
Yeah, and I think maybe, I don't know what's going to happen yet. I think Woody Marks could just get a lot of receptions more than carries this season.
He could play slot receiver for us. We could go 5 wide essentially, with our running back being an extra slot.
Yep. We got another question from Chris. Who do you think ends up with the most INTs this season? I'm gonna say Kalen Bullock. I think he ends up with the most. He just always seems to be in the right spot when it comes to like making these type of plays. And I almost think you're going to see like teams not throw it singly anymore. They're just not really going to deal with that. They're not going to throw it that direction.
It's going to that level. Yeah, absolutely it has. I'll go Chauncey Gardner-Johnson just because he had 6 interceptions last year. You can lower it down to 4. It'll be number 1 on the team. Also, might be evenly
4
spread
will lead
out.
the team. Come on, Drew. You said 4 is going to lead the team.
Yeah, maybe 4 because when Stingley is 3, Bullock is 3, Petrie is 2, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is 4, Bullock has or whatever, and all those guys. Lassiter is gonna have a couple. It's gonna be a nice, spread out foundation.
Toa's gonna get one. Is he gonna get?
He's not gonna be anywhere near the ball, my man.
Eric Barnett. Yeah. I'll go with Kalen Bullock. I mean, what do you have last year? 5, and he dropped like 4 or 5 more, and he didn't even play the full season. He was splitting snaps a lot of the year, so his footwork's insane. And he's second year. His range is crazy. But you'll have to look it up. I feel like I was looking at it a while ago, like our interceptions last year, because I was kind of like thinking about this topic.
Yeah.
Like we had a lot last year, bro.
Right.
Yeah, we
crazy.
did. Yeah,
It might be even more.
and we had 5 in one game, so and didn't win. So
Yeah, that's the way it goes. Yeah.
Will Anderson will get a pick. That could be pretty fun. I could see him getting a pick. Honestly, that wouldn't shock me. I could see that.
JJ Watt.
Yeah. I mean, if you listen to Aziz, Daniil Hunter getting a pick wouldn't be that shocking. He's covering wheel routes and
he's a freak.
That guy is something else, man.
Freak.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. Let's move on to the next one. I'm guessing everyone knows what my pick's going to be for this one, but can't breakout candidates.
Put on the spot here.
Who are we going? If you had to pick like one candidate for a breakout throughout camp and heading into preseason, like who would be your one guy?
So the criteria would be this is someone like who's overlooked that like maybe wouldn't be considered a starter that wins a job.
Yeah, like, or if you're a guy that we don't think you're going to make the roster, he ends up like having an awesome preseason, makes his way onto the roster.
Okay,
like,
I'll do a hidden gem. I got you.
Yeah, that works too. I'll start. I'm going Brevin Jordan, like I have for the last 3 training camps. I guess. I think Brevin's going to have a huge year. Not in the sense like I don't think he's going to have a 1,000-yard season, but I think he's going to have 300-400 yards probably, and then be a really good blocking tight end. Get out in space and make plays. So I think he'll be a big part of what the Texans want to do. I've thought that for a while, and I think he was really going to have a good year. Last year, he was showing off some really good things in the run game, and he just wasn't able to stay healthy. But I expect a lot out of him.
Okay, I got mine after deeply scanning the roster. I'm going to go with Junior Tafuna, the undrafted free agent.
Oh, that's your guy, yeah.
I think that he's a more technically refined run stuffer than Kurt Hinish. I'm not exactly sure how old he is, but still, I think that you got to take the youth a little bit here. He's not a pass rusher whatsoever. Frankly, his pass rushing reps were hard to watch at times, but I love watching him defend the run, and I think he'll make the roster over Kurt Hinish. And I would be sad if he didn't.
And he was out of Rutgers, correct?
No,
I'm thinking of
Hamilton.
Hamilton. He's a little bit of a tweener. Still not an excellent pass rusher. He's a good athlete.
Yeah, okay. Because Drew, you liked a couple of the undrafted.
Yeah, I did. Elijah Huzzy.
Oh. Yeah, Elijah Huzzy was a guy that we liked.
Yeah, we got a lot of potential guys. Daniel Jackson is solid, bro.
Yeah. I had like a 4th round grade on Daniel Jackson. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So just real quick before, we had 19 interceptions last year. We were second in the league with 19 behind the Vikings, who had 24. But my breakout candidate is going to be EJ Speed, man. Like I've been, stumping. I've been stumping for that. Like, we signed him, and like majority of people were like, special teamer or whatever. Like, bro, like he started the past 2 years
for a special teamer.
Exactly. So he started the last 2 years for the Colts and had a lot of production. And then like, he tackled people because they sucked and they were behind. And like, that's not true, dude. Like, I mean, he's a guy. I feel like it's similar to guys like Nico or, people that kind of blossom late. I mean, I'm not saying he's Nico's level, but coming out of Tarleton State, I believe he was maybe a safety. He wasn't even a linebacker initially. So you come out of a small school, you kind of get moved to a position, and you're not somebody that's like highly drafted with like a lot of hype on your name. Yeah. And like, I feel like people hold on to that weight so much. Like people feel like if you aren't declared to be great right off the jump, it's like harder for the public to catch up to be like, this guy can actually be, he probably could have been like a 3rd, 4th round grade talent considering if he starts. So he's just developing late. I think D'Amico has a soft spot for players like that. He's talked about him unprovoked several times. Like he enjoys the guys that are, if you listen to him, like even today, he was talking about Brayman. He like loved him and loved his story about him being an underdog, smaller school. So there is that element, and he's fast, like he likes speed, EJ Speed at that position. Obviously, he could be somewhat of a liability in pass coverage, but I'm sure D'Amico will work on that. And then the contract too, I've pointed to like the fact that he had a Pro Bowl escalator in his contract, which from my knowledge, not just every player signs that. especially if you and or the team doesn't think you have a chance to fulfill it. Not so much like the
Yeah.
monetary value. So there's that part of it, production. And then it's a question mark with Christian Harris. Like, obviously, we've seen it. He's active, but still not practicing. I thought last year, people say he was injured, but to me, he played. And if you're on the roster and you're
Yes, thank
not
you.
playing,
Me and Drew have talked about this for the longest time. You're not hurt and playing kickoff. That doesn't
You're
happen.
not
yeah.
hurt.
So people
You're
are like,
not
well, he
hurt.
was hurt, and we're like, well, he's in game shape. Well, he's back on the roster for like 5-6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, what are we
Like I
doing?
said,
Like, we
he
can't
played
just
special
keep
teams.
doing
He
this.
just didn't play defense.
And the
So
way
it was-
D'Amico and Nick Caserio are, they're super cautious about injuries, right? Like,
Right.
they will give you a couple extra weeks. So if you're actually hurt, they're not going to force you out there. They would have kept him. So I mean, like, he was fine.
Yeah.
Like, we can't keep doing this, So
No.
that kind of weighs into it too. But I
Yeah,
think
Drew-
they went and got him for a reason,
Yeah, Drew and I have talked about this for all offseason about how he
And people just said, don't say that. Don't say
He
don't-
played
don't
0
say-
snaps on defense in the playoffs. And like,
Yeah.
maybe part of that is like,
I think
okay,
he
maybe a little
played-
bit of game shape.
Yeah, because I think he took didn't he start the game against the Chargers and then never came
I
back
think
in?
so.
He played like
I
3
swear.
So
snaps.
he started the first
Very
game because
good,
Aziz
yeah.
was out, and I don't know. I think Henry bumped to Mike, and I think he played Will, and then I believe
Yeah.
he played a little bit of Will, and then like, okay, we'll watch him playing against the Titans. Like, no, we rest him against the Titans, and like we all think, okay, they're saving for the playoffs. Like, yeah, he's coming back, and then both games in the playoffs, I don't think he played
Right.
any snaps on defense.
Here, let's check that. Let's check.
If the
Let me
Texans-
pull up.
I legit think it's like 0 in both, and so
Let's
like.
see. I'm pretty confident it's 0 against KC, but I think he did. I want to say he started the game against the Chargers and then got benched after like 3 snaps and didn't touch the field again. I could be wrong though. Let's
Yeah,
see.
I'm not sure. Let's see what you come up
Swear
with.
Okay,
but-
here we go.
Special team.
I can share my screen. He played 7 snaps against the Chargers and 1 against Kansas City. So he did play a little bit against
on
the Chargers.
defense.
Yeah. I don't think they do special team snaps. I could be wrong.
Man,
But so
I
he
looked
played-
into. I felt like I saw like none, but I mean, still, that's
Yeah. He
7
barely
out of
played
like
at all.
what 50, 60 snaps. I mean, that's like
7 out of that was a weird game. There's probably a lot of defensive snaps. Let's see. I can check.
But I guess
There
people
was-
can argue like, and probably part of it
56
too was
total snaps. Yeah.
yeah. So that's not a lot. So but you could argue like Henry Toa was more reliable, like because he'd
was,
been
yeah.
playing and like maybe he wasn't as high of a ceiling, but he was someone you can rely to be in the right place, right time type of thing because it's playoffs.
Mhm.
But still, like like if this was a different player, if this was like J.J. Watt or someone else, and he was hurt and came back and didn't play, we'd be like, what the hell is wrong?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't know why it's being treated
Absolutely.
differently.
Yeah, I mean, Toa was just
I have
better
no
last
idea.
season. Like, I'm not a big Toa fan, but he was just better. Like, he was more reliable. He showed, even when Harris was healthy, he didn't really play very well. Like, I thought he was solid against Miami, but then, like, the Kansas City game, they kind of picked on him. And then I think Baltimore picked on him, too, if I'm not mistaken. So it just was, it wasn't great. I mean, and like I said, I'm still holding out hope with him.
Yeah.
I'm not completely out or anything like that, but because he is really the one linebacker that can provide you the sideline to sideline speed and the coverage, which in a ideal world next to Aziz, that's perfect. Like that's exactly what you would
Of
want
course.
from your other linebacker spot.
But he's just
but
too inconsistent, though. I
Yeah.
mean, he's had flashes, but like overall, and like we tend to like only remember like the really great moments, but it's like.
It took him a while to come around.
But then it was like a small, like it was only sustained for like the last 3-4 weeks, and then that was it. And then when he came back, he went back to kind of like the rookie year of the inconsistency. So I mean, yeah, it's tough. But like the other part too is the state of the franchise. Like we are in win now mode. D'Amico Ryans has
Mhm.
showed us he's not waiting on anybody. Like.
Oh,
Yeah. We could have made the case to wait on Dameon Pierce. We go sign Nick Chubb. It's like, no, like he's trying to maximize everything now.
I mean, absolutely. And,
I agree.
so I pulled up, again, PFS, not the end-all, be-all, but if you wanted to know Harris's PFF grades from last season, he had 79.2 and 56 snaps against Miami. Like, he was pretty good against Miami. And then
I think he was the mic in
46.6
that game too.
and 25.2
Yeah.
from the other 2 games where he played 40-plus snaps in each of those games. So it was not good those last 2 games. And like you said, he didn't play against Tennessee and then played very little snaps in the playoffs.
No.
And I'll be clear too, like I don't have like a hard on again. Like I love Christian Harris as much as the next guy, but like I'm just trying to be like logical. Like I'm talking from what I've observed from their actions, the coaching staff, not like my own emotional take or opinion. You know,
for sure.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, and like I think we all would love for Christian Harris to be awesome. We all thought after the playoffs in 2024 he's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, we love for that to happen. But like you said, EJ Speed is kind of almost the middle ground of like Toa and Harris. Of like he does have some speed, but he's not great in coverage. But I think he probably has more tools than Toa to improve in coverage. Like D'Amico could get the coverage out of him, where Toa kind of is just limited. Like he can't really do certain things defensively, especially in coverage. So if okay, we want Harris to be the starter, but he just isn't gonna happen. Well, we want someone next to Aziz that can kind of do more in the coverage game, have more sideline to sideline speed. Then AJ Speed makes perfect sense for that type of job.
Or at the very least, it's rotational between the 2 or 3 of them. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Because like the Texans, like I know they're technically a base 4-3. They don't ever play 4-3. They very rarely play 3 linebackers. That's just they don't do that. And now they have so many DBs, they're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, they just went even further away from it as possible.
Some of our and we might run like a lot of big dime. Like I mean, our DBs are physical, where our DBs act like linebackers. Like we all know Petrie's basically a linebacker, but I mean like Jimmy Ward, if he's still on the roster, however that shakes out. But like CJ Garner-Johnson, Jalen Reed, if he makes the roster, I mean, those guys could play like a similar another. You could have like 2 star linebackers essentially if you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so this is another good question from Chris. Most underrated player on offense and defense. Drew, I'm very disappointed I can't answer Eric Murray anymore. My answer can't be Eric Murray anymore, unfortunately.
He got exposed on the quarterback series on Netflix.
I was a little bit.
Did you see that, Drew?
I did not.
Yeah, it was like they ran a crosser with Laporta, and they were like, we saw the safety overplayed it like the week before or whatever. So then and it really wasn't the worst coverage ever. Like
it wasn't. He wasn't wide open. Yeah, no, it wasn't as bad as what they showed.
Yeah. Because I was like, my dad was laughing about it because he knows I like Eric Murray.
Yeah.
I was like, look at this. I was like, he didn't play it that bad.
20 million, 22 million with the Jags?
Yeah, 3 years, 22. Which again, don't think that's going to work out. But I'm happy for Eric Murray. I liked Eric Murray a lot. So, I'll go ahead and start with this. The most underrated player on offense. I'll go. Oh man, that's pretty tough. I mean, I just answered Brevin for the last. I was
gonna say you're kind of screwed over there.
I won't do him again. I'll go. Let's see. I mean, is Dameon Pierce kind of a cop out at this point?
I was gonna. No, that was my answer. That was you have to pick someone else.
I got you. Let me think of someone. Let me get someone.
Been waiting to say.
I'll go Christian Kirk. Like I feel like he is kind of being slept on a little bit. I think he's better than people are giving him credit for because he's been injured and in Jacksonville, which we know how that goes. So he's going to be very productive for this team. I think he'll be second on the team in targets. I think he'll have more targets than Higgins in year one, as long as he stays healthy. That's the big thing. There's a good chance that Kirk will and then he's not going to be second in targets. But if he stays healthy, like targets per game, he probably will be second in my opinion. Defensively, that's tough. There's a lot of guys you can answer defensively that are pretty underrated, I feel like. I mean, I feel like Tim Settle's still pretty underrated. I feel like people don't give him the credit that he deserves for.
Wasn't there like an article that said the Texans' weakness was their interior defensive line?
Yeah, PFF.
It's not true at all.
Did that? Yeah,
it's not
PFF
true.
No, it wasn't PFF. It was ESPN actually. It was. They were like we were considering offensive line, but you look at the interior. I'm like the interior's not.
It's such a casual you just admit you don't know what you're talking.
Faltercassi. I don't know what that is. I mean,
there's another good answer. You could go with 3 different guys, 4 different guys in the interior.
That's what's so frustrating. Like all these pundits and analysts are the ones that we're supposed to rely upon. Is like y'all don't know jack. Like, I don't even know the roster. They had like in that same thing. Like the roster was wrong, right? Like the depth chart.
Yeah, they put Titus at right tackle. I think they put.
Yeah, that's fair. That's like probably what he is on Madden or something.
There was a couple ones on there that were pretty bad though. Like they did.
I actually posted. Let me see. I can pull it up. There were a couple that were like, I think PFF did it too. I think Mechie's technically the starter, like at receiver. for the groups, which obviously isn't going to happen. But I don't think they put like the rookies on there necessarily all the
That's
time.
fair.
So that's somewhat
I don't
fair.
know.
Yeah, but there was one or two things on there. You're like, all
Here
right.
we go. So
Oh
let's
my
see.
God.
No, so they actually didn't put Mechie, but they put Ward. They put Ward over Bullock as a starting safety.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And
I don't know.
then
It's okay.
I mean Juice was the starting right guard. They basically just put the starting offensive line from like they put him at right guard, Titus at right tackle.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
it's not too bad. I mean, because the interior guys were Settle and Rankins, although I think it would be Settle and Folu, like fit wise. But
Well, I'm not putting Sheldon Rankins in on first and second down. On first and second down. So
yeah,
that's just me though. All right. My most underrated player on offense, and it does have to do with a certain specific games. It's going to be Dameon Pierce, because if you look at each and every single carry that he had in that late Tennessee game, he looked like a completely different player, and it was just about his vision and his body control. It was so much more improved. We already know that he can be an explosive runner, he can be a physical runner, but can he be a patient runner? We were like, oh no, he has absolutely zero patience, as a runner, and that was a big issue. But I'm not so sure it's an issue anymore. So I have high expectations for Dameon Pierce. And then on defense, I probably would have said Tim Settle. I don't really need to say Folu Fadukasi. I'll go.
Damon Arnett.
Okay, I could say Derek Barnett because everyone knows
That's
that
your guy,
Derek
man.
Barnett.
Yeah,
I'll just say Jalen Smith. I think because he can really play a defined
Yeah.
role, or not like a defined role, but just like a different role. He can blitz. He can also play a little bit of man coverage inside and outside, which is fun to see at times. And he's got great range for a smaller guy in zone coverage from the nickel spot. And so you can move him around the field. And I think that'd be cool to see. And I think they will do it.
Yeah. You've been a big Jalen Smith guy for a while. Those are your guys.
People didn't know who he was when they took it. I'm just like, oh, let's go. Great.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Great.
You're at the best draft of his life that weekend.
Right.
Man. They took all the guys that Drew liked.
That's awesome. Yeah, so for me on offense, it's going to be Titus Howard, man. I mean, I feel like he gets criticized way too much. I mean,
he does.
He's a selfless guy. He's moved around. He's basically played all 5 positions except center, so 4 different positions in his tenure here. I think people don't realize how hard it is to move from not only from one position to another, from tackle to guard, but on the complete opposite of the line, middle of the season, and still hold it down the way he did. Like I get like there's moments, and just like it can just appear frustrating at times from body language or what, but like, the strip sack thing, which was just like a fluke thing, but like, stuff like that can kind of like, carry over like a negative connotation, but he's been rock solid, dude. And then, so the past 2 seasons he's had to play out of position at guard, but now he's playing guard, but now he had a full off season to do it. And I don't know if y'all have noticed, but like the dude seems like he trained to bulk up for that position. So
he looks significantly bigger. Yeah,
he's stout. So I'm excited to watch him play guard for a full season. And it's interesting too that he's on the right side now, where he normally plays tackle. So I guess they, figure he's better suited at right guard. So I think he's definitely underrated. And like an honorable mention on offense for me would be Justin Watson. I feel like we kind of don't talk about him. I mean, he's Super Bowl champion. He's a big time receiver who's played in big time games, made some big time catches. He's not like the flashiest guy, but I think he'll, provide some value to this offense. And then on defense, it's my guy Petrie, man. Like, I don't know how y'all feel, but I've been, vouching for him.
Texans Probe is a Jalen Petrie fan club. We love Jalen Petrie.
I feel like most people have, come around after his year last year, but obviously, he plays the star role, which is basically a Sam linebacker in the 4-2-5. So he's like a safety / linebacker, and that's what he was at Baylor, and that's what got him drafted so high.
Exactly.
And then he comes into a Lovie Smith system in cover 2 and plays a 2 high safety, and he's playing out of position. They're not playing him to his best skill sets, even though he had picks his first year. But then obviously last year he balled out until he got hurt because he was in the right position to, extenuate his strengths, which he's a physical player. Like that guy will like knock a lineman on his ass, bro. And he's like 200 pounds. So and when he got hurt too, I feel like it was really noticeable. For me, he's like the
was.
X factor of the defense, like what he's able to do as essentially a linebacker, as essentially like your Sam linebacker. He unlocks the whole defense for D'Amico, his versatility and creativity and play calling, because you can do so many things with him. So yeah, he's very underrated to me. I'm glad they
Yeah.
extended him as well.
Yeah, me too. I think I remember Stresses. We were arguing with somebody about his impact when he got hurt at some point this offseason. Because you literally, like, statistically, you can see it. They went from, I want to say, a top 3 run defense to being bottom 15, like the rest of the regular season when he wasn't out there. I mean, he is the most impactful run defender on the Texans. Like, it's not even really all that close, in my opinion. He's clearly number one. And I mean, I don't see who else you could say it is.
You could say Foley. Obviously, he's like our only true one
You
tech.
couldn't say any of the linebackers, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. I mean, yeah, I don't know why, like, people get fixated. I think it's like this misnomer of nickel, and you think nickel, you think, oh, fast corner who covers like crazy fast slots. Like, that's not his role, bro. Like, and I also don't think he's as bad as people think. Like, there was two plays that happened. There was a Devontae Adams play, and I forget if it was like the Jaguars or Titans where he was right there in coverage, but he got caught on in the end zone.
Josh Downs.
Yeah, but like he was still there, but like got beat. But like these two plays, they're like, oh yeah, he sucks. Like, no, bro. Like, those situations happen once every 30, 40 plays where you're stuck in this situation where it's a bad, setup. But yeah, and then you watch, last year it stemmed from, we watched these one-on-ones in training camp, and of course you're gonna get burnt, dude. You're 10 yards off covering a slot receiver, and so like, oh, he sucks. Like, it's not designed for the quarterback to win those drills. So
no.
Now, I will say they don't necessarily want to put Jalen Petrie in man coverage while blitzing 7 people. So it's also nice to have Jalen Smith that can probably do that a little bit better, manning someone up in the slot. I don't think Petrie will ever be in a situation like that again.
Yeah, so my argument is like the Devontae Adams, like the times he got burnt, it's when it's like ambiguous downs where it's like second and medium or short or third and short. So like you don't know, and you're gambling as a coordinator. Okay, I'm gonna go man and blitz and hope they run, but then they pass. I'm like, all right, Petrie, just, and so that's not fair to like sit there and criticize him. But now, to your point, Drew, and I agree, you have someone like Jalen Smith who's a true covered nickel now, or even just one of these other third string cornerbacks. If it's more of a third and long, then yeah, take him off the field and put in a coverage gap.
No. And, I think at some point they were kind of looking to do that with Kamari, moving him into the nickel a little bit more, but Jeff Okudah was just too bad. Like, you couldn't see him on the football field. So, so they weren't really able to do it. But like I said, Jalen Smith could also play outside. He's able to do both, so he can kind of move around, depending on what they want to do with that. So there's definitely more like defensive options in the secondary this year.
So many more.
Because now Jimmy Ward's this reserve guy that can also kind of do what Jalen Petrie does in the nickel on a lesser level. Like, when Ward moved into the nickel, their defense really didn't fall off like that hard, because Ward's a very good player. Like, I feel like people don't understand how impactful he still is at his age. Even I think people just see him get hurt all the time, and it's like, that's frustrating. But when he's on the field, he's very impactful. And, it really didn't fall off until after Jimmy Ward got hurt, too, in the Kansas City game, to where that was like, okay, the run defense is clearly not as good as it was before.
Yeah, because then now you had like a true nickel and Miles Bryant, who did well, but like, that's if you're playing a passing team, great, but he's not going to be a factor in the run game. I agree. Jimmy Ward was almost a 1-for-1 replacement for Petrie. They're both a similar kind of, crash out style players. So
yeah, for sure. And like you said, I mean, the difference, I guess, is like, I think Petrie just is more explosive. Like, he has more of like okay, I'm just gonna run you over. I'll just run around you. Like, Jimmy Ward's more like, okay, he's more under control, I feel like, because even
reliable,
like out of control, like when he does this stuff. But that's also just a young player. Like, he is his first year in that role since college, like you said. So you're kind of an
animal, dude.
Yeah,
he's an animal,
awesome.
Bro.
Yeah, he's like an old school guy. Like, my dad, they all love Jalen Petrie. So he's one of those guys that, like, you got to just appreciate the way that he plays, for sure.
Well, as D'Amico said today in the presser, that's my type of player.
It's exactly what he said. That was, and that's a lot of praise from D'Amico. with him saying that, because he doesn't say that about a lot of guys. he won't go out of his way to say that. I think it's Petrie and Aziz. If you want to know like the two guys that on defense that he would say that about, it's probably those two.
But dude, and that was all like that was the opening monologue. He's like, I thought the moment today was Petrie making this pick, and then he just started talking about him. Like,
yeah, he loves him some Jalen Petrie for sure. All right, final thing here. Let's talk about the offensive line. Like, what do we think? We can do almost like a prediction. Like, if you had to pick 5, if you had to pick the group that you think week 1 will start, or the group that you just think would be the best.
Yeah, prefer best.
What would be like your 5 guys? Because I can kind of like, I don't know what exactly they'll do, but I can kind of come up with 5 that I would want to see them start.
Yeah.
If you're going left to right, I go Cam Robinson. I think left guard is going to be Lakin. I think center, I'm going Jake Andrews. Like that, I think Jake Andrews is going to be the starting center. Titus Howard at right guard, and then I'm going to go Ursary at right tackle. That would be my line.
Well, that was mine.
Okay,
that was
absolutely we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
We're on the same page.
Oh shit.
Okay.
Well, that works out, man. We're all on the same page with the offensive line, I guess.
Well, like my logic is like Jake Andrews and Jarrett Patterson. I give, you listen to Titus today was talking about Jake Andrews, and obviously he has the connection with Cole Popovich at Troy and then in New England, and they're really close. Drew talked about him being a good run blocker, which we're trying to emphasize the run. You would probably take that to set up the pass. He has a wrestling background. Again, this is another guy, just because he isn't some big, flashy, sexy name right off the jump, people just assume he sucks. I'm like, this is an O lineman. Like, you really don't know offensive linemen's names. Like most people could only tell you 10 to 15 in the entire league that aren't Texans, if that. So like this, the fact that we don't know who he is doesn't mean jack. And then, he's a great communicator is what Titus said today. Like he said that he's a great communicator and gets the calls out quick. That's like the biggest thing we can have is like, let's get lined up first.
Yeah.
And then we can have a chance to actually run the play. So, but yeah, go ahead.
Like you said, that's why the connection to Cole Popovich that he's had for the longest time matters so heavily to them. Like, that's why being able to just like, okay, I played in this offense. I know what the assignments are. Like, I can figure this out. And like you said, Jarrett Patterson just doesn't have the upside in the run game. Like, that's the issue with him. But, if Jake Andrews comes in and he doesn't play well, then at least you know what you have in Jarrett Patterson. Like, we can go to Jarrett Patterson and like the pass protection will be fine. Whether the run game isn't good or not, like, you're going to have that with him. So that's nice. And, I actually was going to bring up a point because you talked about Titus Howard, being on the right side and pass protection, like maybe that being easier because he played there. He actually, when we were on the string, he did tell me that he was excited about right guard just because he thinks it's easier to set from the right side. Like, he's just done that his whole career. So playing right guard is easier for him, he said, especially in pass protection, just being able to like just set more naturally. So he was
maybe a few less false starts there as well. I mean, wherever you're comfortable, my man, wherever you're comfortable.
So that was So he definitely said that out of the guard spots.
Did he say if he had input on whether he wanted to play there or not? Or?
I didn't ask him if he had any input on that, but he just told me he was definitely excited about playing on the right side at guard. He like I said, he said he's been enjoying it. So. And like he said, he clearly was told he was going to play guard because he looks insanely huge compared to how he has the last couple of years. Just his whole career.
It's funny. He's listed at 6'5", 322 pounds. You're saying he's bulked up more. We're talking about the elite size of 6'5", 330 pounds for a guard, just mauling guys over. Ooh, it's exciting.
Yeah, and now running duo and gap scheme where he just blocked the guy in front of you instead of this finesse bullshit. Like,
right.
But yeah, like as far as the rest of the lineup, like we said, we all agree. I think it's pretty obvious. Most people would have Cam Robinson left tackle and Lakin Tomlinson at left guard. Center seems to be the one that can be up for grabs. Right guard's Titus. So then from there, it's right tackle, which the original lineups were Fisher, but it seems like recently he's not doing good, and they're not scared to play someone like Ursary, and sounds like he's doing well. Titus raved about him today, about how good he's doing. So that's kind of just my logic on it as well. I'm sure it's the same for y'all's.
I think they paid Cam Robinson starter money. At the end of the day, they paid him starter money. They, definitely liked Ursary. I don't know if he was the player that Sarah would have taken in the first round, when he made that comment or whatever. But I actually like Ursary at right tackle more than left tackle. Even though I thought he moved well for his size, he is a very
Yeah.
very big guy.
I
He's
agree.
not like the Tunsil, a little bit leaner, finessey guy. Ursary at right tackle could be quite deadly because he can really get downhill on guys, so he doesn't have to cover so much ground.
Yeah, and I feel like in practice, for him going against a guy like Will Anderson, who's
And that's
really
going
going
to
to
be
try to
great.
bull rush
Yeah.
you, like that'll be a good matchup to
So
watch.
good.
Because really, I'm not out on Blake Fisher. Like I said today, I tweeted about it. Like I still like Blake Fisher. I thought he did some really good things last season when he stepped in at right tackle. Like I didn't think it was all bad at all, but matchup wise, Will Anderson's a really bad matchup for him. Like it just is. Like that's just a very bad matchup. That's a bad matchup for a lot of.
Well, the
tackles.
funny thing is, pads aren't on. Like if pads were on, like he's bull rushing him, then it actually would be a bad matchup. But I'm a little concerned. We don't have pads on, and what are we doing with our hands, and how are we moving our body? But I thought Will Anderson had a good bag. I mean, I know you at one point didn't think that he had much of a bag to his game, but I think Will Anderson's
he talked about that at the presser yesterday, actually trying to add more finesse to his game.
Yeah.
Which that is the thing he lacks. Power wise, like any type of long arm like that, he's good at that stuff. But he talked about trying to add more bend, adding more with that type of stuff with Hunter. Like the thing that always sticks out to me is I've seen him try to do a spin move a couple times and he spins in place. Like he tries it, it just doesn't go anywhere.
Neil Hunter's got a deadly
he
one.
Doesn't have
So
to do it. I mean, he literally does not have to do that to win. Like he just wins off of his.
He busted one out in OTAs, remember? And Matt Burke was talking about it. And then his presser yesterday, he talked about, like your first offseason, you're training for the combine. The second offseason, like you're still kind of getting your feet wet. Like now, like he can focus on like the details of like the, working on his bag and whatnot. But what stood out to me in his presser was he talked about Daniil Hunter learning from him about varying your speeds and your rush. He's like, Daniil will go, one speed, full speed all game. And then all of a sudden fourth quarter come off the ball slower and stuff like that. So like, that's little stuff you don't really have time to think about as a young pass rusher. So I'm excited about that, but we should also so we talked about the starting O-line week 1, but there could be a potential that Trent Brown, if and when healthy, could, be there at right tackle as well. So
that's interesting because I've seen a lot of people push for him. I'm on the side of I don't really think he gets the starting job either way, even if he is healthy. I would be concerned about him being able to move laterally anymore. Like he wasn't moving very well.
We don't need that shit. We're running downhill, baby.
Run downhill. I think he's the perfect 6th offensive lineman though. If you're gonna run 6 lineman sets and run downhill, put him in the game,
right?
Because he is a big dude. I just don't think. Because I think Ursary could bring you similar to what he can at this point, and I'd rather just see Ursary play. Like I'd rather just see the younger guy get out there and see what he can bring.
I always saw Trent Brown as someone who could transition to guard, especially with how you saw Mekhi Becton play. I feel like if stuff goes sideways, you still are not comfortable with Juice Scruggs because he hasn't really improved since his rookie year. You can put Trent Brown in at guard.
That'd be the biggest guard in NFL history, I think.
It's interesting.
Him and Becton,
Him and Becton are like same size.
Yeah. No, I mean there's a lot of different things they can do on the offensive line. Like there is so many different options, and Juice Scruggs is a guy that nobody's really talked about, but still could play for a spot on this, like as a depth guy, and then has to start somewhere because I don't think he goes anywhere just because the versatility of being able to play both guard spots and center is pretty valuable. He's not great at any of them, but I didn't think he really had like many games last year where it was like, this is brutal. Like he wasn't brutal in any real games. There were some like lapses where he was like, this isn't good, but there wasn't like Kenyon level, like, okay, this guy needs to go games, I didn't think. And there were some really good games from him, especially early in the season. I thought at center, he really did some good things early on. But I think it's hard for him to be a center because I don't know how well he communicates that type of stuff. It doesn't seem like he does a great job of that.
Yeah.
But something on the O-line, too, though, is like the depth is way better. I mean, obviously across the board, like we went and added depth in the secondary. We were drafting guys like Jalen Smith and Jaden Reed. And like, why are we doing that? And then you look back last year, we had injuries and it kind of sucked. Same thing with the receiving core. Like, why are we drafting receivers? Like, oh, shit, the past 2 years, guys get hurt and it was a sharp fall off. So they improved depth across the board, secondary, receiver, and O-line. So, I mean, you look at, Blake Fisher. We're talking about Blake Fisher, and last year, rookie year, he wasn't a world beater, but he wasn't the worst thing compared to what we saw. He was sufficient. He had, some ups and downs, but overall, we were like, we will take him. And so, like, now he would project to improve, and we're talking about him being a backup. And so, like, even if he had to start, we would probably take it. But now it's like, okay, we got more options. But yeah, like you mentioned last year, Kenyon Green falls off the face of the earth, and your backup is Kendrick Green. And then, and then Shaq Mason falls off. Who's your backup there? We had no depth, bro.
No, we had nothing. Yeah. Like literally, like the minute someone got hurt, you had to move everyone on the line around because they had no depth at multiple spots. They had no real options there. And now you have a ton of options because, they seem to like Jalen Thomas a lot too. And I don't know that much about Jalen Thomas. Like, I'm not going to claim like I know a ton about him, but I know he played tackle for a lot of his career, and now he's playing guard. So
he played tackle and guard today with the twos. Yep. He played right tackle and left guard, right?
I think he got in. I want to say I was reading Alexander's article. I think the first team won. He was actually in with the first team. He got a rep, or he got some reps there. So they're just trying everything out. But they like him as well. Austin Deculus is still here. I don't think he makes the roster, but he's here. There's a lot of guys, and I think Trent Brown, like you said, I think Trent Brown is the perfect type of mentor guy. Honestly, I think that's what he's here for. I think he's here to kind of teach the other guys, especially Ursary, because him and Ursary have similar play styles. Like, they kind of have done similar things, and he's played in the offense before, so it makes a ton of sense for him to be that type of guy. But again, that's useful for $3 million as a signing. Even if he ends up on IR or whatever the situation is injury wise, I think he's okay now. But even if you cut him and you find a way to keep him on whatever, like you keep him on practice squad or whatever, he's a valuable player just for the leadership factor that he brings.
So Jalen Thomas, he played guard at SMU.
Yeah,
he's 6'5", or listed as 6'5", 311. He had an 89 grade on his pass protection in his final year.
Yeah. And
he could be a name if you pop up.
Yeah, and Zach Thomas is another guy that I was
going to say, I was just looking at him.
He's not a guy that he was a guy that I actually pushed to play a little bit more last season. I wanted to see
he was going to be our savior last year. We're like, please, yes, who is this guy?
I wanted to see him because I'm like, these guards are just horrendous. Like, I don't want to see Kendrick Green anymore, man. I'm good on him too. Like, Kendrick Green was almost like Kenyon was so bad that people were like, let's see Kendrick, and Kendrick was horrible. He like. I appreciated his effort in the run game. He was a good run blocker, but he couldn't pass protect at all, man. It was brutal.
He was still better than Kenyon too, though, which is crazy.
He was. He was. Like,
our bar was so low, bro. I was hyped when he got in the game against the Jets, and he was ass, but I was so happy.
Yeah, but even in the Jets game, he made a couple run blocks that were really nice. Like he could run block. There wasn't much in the pass game for him.
But we didn't mention too, like Ladarius Henderson, Ed Ingram, guys you could like. Even then, like Ed Ingram is not even being talked about. We would have killed for him to start for us last year at guard.
Yeah. He wasn't good for Minnesota.
Actually, would have been a good fit in the Slowick scheme, but we'll see what.
He wasn't good.
But hopefully he doesn't see
he wasn't
it.
Kenyon bad either. So.
Right.
And I do want to point out one thing I noticed today from Jonathan Alexander from the Chronicle. He tweeted there was a play where Blake Fisher, I believe this is the way I interpreted his tweet, Blake Fisher false started and they pulled him out right away. Yep. And so that tells me like, hey, like hopefully they're not playing that shit this year. Like last year, it happened too much. Like we're taking it serious. Like, all right, we're going to take you out. So that was, as a fan, great to see.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, he had a couple interesting things. That could be the last thing. I'll go. Let me get his article pulled up, and I can talk about some of the interesting things from it because there were some. He's a very good beat writer. He does a very good job. He's always been one of the guys that I go to.
Harley said his hot take to make the roster is British Brooks. That's a good one.
I like British Brooks still. I still like him. Let's see what else. What insight do we have from this article? So let's see. So obviously Nick Chubb got a lot of the snaps with the second team, the first team. So he'll probably be the backup. Although I saw in Stutz's, he said that he didn't think Chubb looked very good. He looked pretty slow.
Right.
So
it's not very surprising. He's going to have to be the goal line back. He's going to have to be the yards after contact back. I don't expect him to be explosive.
Yeah, that's not what we got him for.
Like you were saying, so they he committed the false start, and then they immediately pulled him, and they made him watch the rest of the series on the sideline. So, they were.
That's already way more accountability than we had the entire season last year.
Yeah, I saw
day two.
It was in Stutz, I think, and it was he talked about how Nico had a really awesome catch. Nobody's surprised by that, but he made an awesome play on the sideline. But Jalen Smith had a nice play. That was another piece of someone. They had a nice PBU. Davis Mills has looked good though, and so is Jalen Knoll has looked very good from what we've seen. So I love Jalen Knoll. I had him higher than Higgins. We talked about this pre-draft as well, but either way, like they were both pretty close. They were both second round guys. They're like that range, so it worked out. But yeah, I love Jalen Knoll pre-draft. So.
Yeah, no, it's a lot to get excited about. And that, like, one thing that I'm excited about that I like about D'Amico, and he professes it and he shows it with his actions too. He's not afraid to play rookies, man. Like,
no.
Some coaches will, like, have this weird stigma to them, or like, oh, you got to prove it and wait your time. Like, no, like if you're the best, you're going to play. Yeah, exactly. So we saw it last year with, we saw it obviously first year. CJ and Will, and we saw it last year, Kamari and Kalen, and there's been plenty of rookies. So yeah, I feel like almost all of our top drafted rookies, Ursary, we're seeing him in the mix. Jalen Smith, we're seeing him making plays. Higgins, Knoll, I feel like all those guys can contribute this year.
Yeah, they really can. They've had so many guys contribute year one. I mean, even last year Fisher contributed. Whether up and down, he played. The Cade Stover played.
Yep.
Before he was actually like I said, later in the season, I thought he did some really good things, and then he ended up getting hurt. So unfortunate, but he got thrown into a role he probably shouldn't have been in. We've talked about that. So
bingo.
John Grenard.
We've talked about that one before. Although Cade Stover is a guy that everyone seems to talk up really highly so far throughout camp and the offseason. So hopefully he has a good year. What are some other guys that have played for this team? You go back to the Tank Dell, right? He was a huge impact player as a rookie as well for a third rounder. Juice got in there late in the season as a rookie. Jarrett Patterson was a starting center week one. so that wasn't by design, but it happened. So they're not afraid to play rookies at all.
Right.
No, that's awesome to hear as a fan.
Jake Andrews is essentially another guy that hasn't played. Like, he has not played in the NFL pretty much. He's never taken an NFL snap at center in a regular season game.
Right.
So what is from y'all's like research and or background, like the reason why he has not stuck as like a starter yet? Like
from what I know, he's been injured a lot. He's been hurt a lot in New England, and then they played him at guard late in the season at one point. And then I don't remember exactly what happened, but he didn't play like great, but he wasn't horrible either. And then I think I want to say they kind of switched games, and then that was kind of it for him. Like he kind of they moved on. But he wasn't like bad in the games he played. And he was actually pretty good when he played at center in preseason. He just never got the shot because he got hurt after preseason. So
that reminds me, in that interview he had with Vandermeer and Harris, I realized like he talked about Popovich and like, he's like, I owe him like a lot, like one of the most of my life, because at Troy, he's the first coach that let him play center. So the guy's played guard his whole life. He didn't play center until I believe his senior year is what it was. Mm-hmm. So like you have to factor this into, like, the guy's only been playing center for a couple of years. That can factor into why he didn't take off right away. You go to New England, maybe now they're trying to play him at guard. Like, he's a center. And so that's something to keep in mind too.
Absolutely. He's another guy. I mean, I think we looked it up the other day when we were on here. The last time we were on stream, Drew. He's what, like 25? He's basically the same age.
I was about to check actually. He's 25. Yeah.
Same age as who?
Jared. He's the same age as Patterson.
Yeah, same age.
So you're looking at another guy that is pretty inexperienced, and they're giving a shot. Like I said, I think he ends up being the starting center when it's all said and done. So
just too much talk about him, Like they don't really talk about Jarrett Patterson like they talk about Andrews. So
yeah, or you're saying like for us, like it sounds like he'll be the starter.
Yeah,
you're saying, yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah, and there's not that much to talk about with Jarrett Patterson. Like you said, what Jarrett Patterson is.
You know what you get. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's not a bad thing.
I don't hate Jarrett Patterson at all. I think he's
for a backup. It's great. I love having him as a backup offensive. It's hard to be and be a bad run blocker. It doesn't go very well a lot of the time.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, there's
not
that many elite centers in the league, though.
When you look across the league, that's why if you go look at you look at like the pass blocking grades, Jarrett Patterson's always like top 8 in centers because most of them don't pass block very well, but he does. So it's
Tough.
just
Very
different.
tough.
I would almost. I said this for a while. I would let Jarrett Patterson try at guard a little bit, but I don't think they're gonna do it. So
I think he did play maybe like a game or two at guard. And I just
He
wasn't really.
came in for Kenyon against Indy and then got a concussion. So
Oh, he was playing good in that game.
yeah.
He had like
was,
a
yeah.
he had on that play he got hurt was like a big gain, right? Like
Yeah,
cleared a
it was a
hole and
touchdown.
then fucking tripped and got hurt.
Yeah. It was literally like a 7-play, 75-yard drive. Like they took it all the way.
He played,
that drive.
good.
He is. I'm telling. Like I would bet. Like I would tell you right now, if they played him at guard, he'd play well. I just don't think he's a center. So, but you know. I'm not mad with the guards that they have currently, though. At least they have guys that they're confident in. Like Lakin and Titus, you kind of know what you're getting from those guys. So,
well, you have to look at it like we talked about depth. Like you got to look at it through like 1 through like 8. You know, like the whole roster. Like we had LT who was a great pass protector, but then it was just after that it was not great. But like the overall like average, if you were to like rank all of our players 1 through 10 and like do a score of last year's versus this year's on the top 8 guys, this line is going to be way better just based off of that. And that's not even factoring in scheme and coaching. So,
yeah,
that's what I believe. I mean,
yeah, because I don't know if, you look at the guards last season. I think Titus was the best guard last season. I still think he's the best guard in the team this year. But, like, they definitely didn't have a Lakin level guy. Because, Shaq Mason, I think, was somewhat close, although he was pretty bad. I'm not super high on, but I think if you look at 2023, I think you'll get somewhere in between where Shaq was in the first year in Houston and where he was the second year, which that's solid. Like he was pretty good his first year, and he was bad his second year. So you'll probably get somewhere like in between that with Lakin, I think.
I'll take that all day.
Yeah, and you save $10 million doing it. So there you go.
Important. Yeah.
Yep. Is Lakin on? I was thinking about this the other day. He's on a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, probably something very, very small. Not
I think
too
he
much
is.
Money.
I think he got. It was something. I think it was 7 something, like $7 million. 1 year, $7 million.
It might be like 2 years then. I don't know.
I'll look it up. Let's see. Lakin. He's on a 1 year.
I don't remember what it was.
Lakin Tomlinson, base salary, signing bonus.
He got 4.25 million with a max value of 5. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking about that the other day because I was like, he's pretty clearly going to be here for 1 year, I think. But for $5 million, he'll be a productive guy for that much money. And like I said, it's nice with Lakin. Like I think a lot of the issues in the offensive line were just like, okay, we're not playing as a unit. It's nice that Lakin's going to play 17 games. Like he's going to be out there every single game. He doesn't miss games. He's played 1,000+ snaps every season since 2017. Like that's pretty crazy for an offensive line. That doesn't happen very often. So he's out there. So I mean, and he's kind of taken over a leadership role at least somewhat with the offensive line. From what I've seen, it's kind of him and Titus Howard taking over like the leadership role. So there's definitely an impact there.
And it's corny too. Like, there is definitely a change in like the mindset and mentality of this offensive line, and he provides value there. I mean, he's a veteran, a guy that takes pride in protecting the quarterback. Like all that crap we saw last year, CJ getting beat to hell and no one ever picking him up and everyone just pointing fingers and just worrying about their own job. That's gone. I mean, Lakin embodies that. Jake Andrews in his interview, he embodies that. I think Titus does. He's a selfless guy, but now he can really kind of step into that. I haven't really gotten to, peek into Cam Robinson's personality, but he kind of strikes me as that same, cloth. Ursery seems like he's cut from the same cloth. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds cheesy and corny, but, I mean, I think that's a real thing, dude.
Right.
It is. It definitely is. I mean, we saw it last year. Like, there was significant issues with the mentality of the offensive line. Like you said, like, just the fact that, your quarterback's getting killed and you won't even go pick him up is pretty bad. That's not great. I found a clip the other day, and it was pretty funny because it was against someone, and Stroud got sacked, and you see Tunsil like adjusting his wristband or something. He was like, "I'm like, this is I don't know, man."
And like, I don't think he's intentionally like that. It's just I don't know. But yeah, it's not good.
Like, and honestly, what's funny is I think Tunsil would tell you that he's like, I don't really think he cares about like team success that much. He wants to look good and have money, which I don't blame the guy. I think we were all in the same spot. I want my money. But
He's definitely done
even
that.
in Washington now, is he even at camp in Washington? I don't think he is. Probably not. He hadn't gotten his extension yet. So.
I was on stream last night, and a guy that's in DC is like, people in DC are already like complaining about Tunsil, and so I think he's doing the same stuff.
That's
But
funny.
they were so hyped when they got him, but they're already starting to sour.
Yeah, no, and like. There were certain frustrating things, and like I said, Laramie Tunsil, like I met him at camp before. He's the nicest guy in the world. Like I wish him nothing but the best wherever he goes. Like Washington, like I wish him the best. But at the end of the day, well, I wish him the best, not the team, because I think we own their pick next year. So
That's right.
So hopefully they lose a lot of games. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like it's no hard feelings towards the guy. It's just I think it was time for the change.
It's just his personality. I mean, and he's been able to thrive.
Yeah.
With that personality, but I mean, it is.
And he's going to continue to thrive. I think the biggest thing, I was talking to a Commanders fan when the trade happened, and I think the biggest thing is like Tunsil can do what Tunsil does, but he can't be the leader of your offensive line. Like for Washington, like they have other good linemen that can kind of step up and show Connerly and these guys how to work. Like Tunsil can do what Tunsil does because he's so athletically gifted. There are very few guys that can do that. Like, there's not many guys that. It's
like Jadeveon Clowney on the defensive end. Like, you've been a beast your whole life. You just literally show up and you just dominate. And it's hard to blame people like that. Like, I would be that way if I was just like this alpha and just I don't have. And I'm not saying he doesn't like not work out hard and work stuff, work whatever. But like,
you're 100%.
So like if your whole life you're able to do it, then why do all this extra work? You just show up and dominate.
Yeah, exactly. That's just like I said, that's just a bad mentality to have for everyone else. He can do it because. Like I said, that's
a great point.
He has
our problem is we also needed him to be that, or we didn't have a leader. So de facto, by the void of leader, he was the leader because of highest paid and best player.
Yeah,
and it kind of trickled down whether he intended for it to or not.
Yeah,
so it's hard to blame him for that.
Exactly, and that's why I told the Washington guy, I said like that they have that I don't know how to say his last name, but the old Dallas center. Tyler B. I forget how you say his last name, but he is like
the B's.
He's been good for them. Yeah. He's a center. He's kind of the leader of the room, and so Tunsil just kind of shows up and is good. Like that's all you have to ask from him in that situation.
He's also kind of on an island too. Left tackle, you can kind of handle your own shit most of the time,
especially with Kingsbury, because Kingsbury will leave you on islands. Like he's not going to keep extra guys in the block. That's not what he does. So he will leave Tunsil on an island, and Tunsil's good at that type of stuff. So
yeah.
But like I said, until he gets that extension, I guarantee you they won't find him in DC. He will not be there. That whole situation's funny. I've talked about that before, but the fact that they have to pay Terry and they still haven't paid Tunsil is like I don't know how that's gonna shake out. That's gonna be an interesting situation.
I was talking about it last night, but I'd come to this realization, and it happened with us with the Texans first year, Stroud, and he gets crazy hype. And everyone talks about sophomore slump, and it happened. But to me, it was more so the coordinator. But I think the Commanders, like everyone is so fixated, like NFC Championship. Like, bro, like they barely beat the Bucs. The Bucs gave them the game in that first wild card game, and then you go into Detroit and beat the Lions, who we saw what the Lions were when we played them, and we should have beat them. But like at that point in the season, they were a shell of themselves. Like the injuries they had were insane. So you didn't beat the same. So people have like this, in my opinion, wrong conception of like how good the Commanders really were. I mean, they did reach the NFC Championship, but then they got smashed. But it's like that's all you think about. Yeah, NFC Championship, they're freaking good. Jaden Daniels, like they could regress pretty hard this year.
Yeah, I think I recently, I forget what day it was, but I posted just kind of like some NFL hot takes just in general, and that was one of them. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. That was one of my hot takes. I think Dallas is going to be better than them. If you want to, like,
I agree.
I would not be shocked if Dallas comes out and just looks better. I think I'm not really a big believer. Cliff Kingsbury, I like Cliff Kingsbury. I'm not a big believer in him as an offensive coordinator. Still, he hasn't proven that he can do it over a season. And he was, he did a good job last season, but I'm just not.
But this happened before, like when he first came on the scene, he was new, and then coordinators adjusted, and so like now he took a break, came back with new stuff, and then teams will adjust. But then also someone mentioned too, like the fourth down variance, like the amount of times they went for fourth down and got it. Like if they would have missed like 3 or 4 of those throughout the season, like that changes like the whole outlook.
Yeah, and I mean you get plays like the Noah Brown Hail Mary that won them a game. Like there are a lot of stuff that went their favor, and it was an awesome season. Like I enjoyed watching that team. Like they're fun. Jaden Daniels is a very fun quarterback. Like no hate towards him. I just would not be surprised if they, have a less successful season than they did. And there's some teams in the NFC now that are very good. Like, I think Atlanta is going to be a very good team this year.
So high on Atlanta, dude.
Yeah.
Penix is the truth, bro. Like he was the truth all through
Penix
college,
too.
and people didn't want to admit it.
Yeah.
And like the small
Penix
sample
too.
size he played, he's a beast, bro. And they got a good coach.
I think
Raheem
Penix
Morris,
is very
good coordinator. They got a good defense.
Yeah. Zach Robinson's my guy, man. I am so high. I am so shocked to this day that Zach Robinson got no offensive coordinator interviews last season, because I get Kirk did not look good in certain stretches, but when Penix was in and early,
they were like a top 5
fire,
offense last year.
He looked really good. I don't know what they were, but they were
for sure offense. Top 10, dude.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, if you go where like Kirk was healthy and then Penix took over, they're probably top 7 or 8 in EPA. Like their rushing game was unbelievable. I mean, literally, like they just ran outside zone with Bijan 90% of the time, like in the run game, and it worked because Bijan's and their offensive line's awesome. I think Chicago's a team that could be really good this season too. So there's a lot of good teams in the NFC now for Washington to compete with for a wild card spot, assuming Philly kind of runs that division again. Which I guess that same team never wins that division twice in a row. It feels like, but
yeah,
that has been a thing. Yeah, I mean they made the trade for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, and we could be wrong, and they could win 14 games. Like that wouldn't shock me either. But I'm just, like we said, we've seen it. Like we were almost overconfident going into last season as a Texans fan. We're like, we're going to win 13, 14 games. It's just not how it goes. It's not how it always goes. So you never know. All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up? Any, training camp moving forward, thoughts of, players or anything?
Yeah, I mean, moving forward, I'm curious about one-on-one matchups. I mean, I know, Jacob, you're going to be there on Saturday, so it'll be interesting to hear from you, like, was someone getting their ass kicked, was like an underrated, player beating, better players? Or is Blake Fisher stepping up against Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson? Stuff like that. I'm looking forward to that. As maybe Noel is just, so much more explosive than everyone else, knowing guard him, Higgins, whatever. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm going to be there with my guy Nico Elite Takes, man. We're going.
Oh, no way!
Awesome.
So we'll be we'll be getting some tweets out, man. We'll be getting some content.
You'll be there Saturday?
I will be there Saturday. Yeah.
I'm trying to go. You said you have an extra ticket?
I gave it to Nico. That's what I said.
Man, what the fuck, bro? Nico's cool, man. I like.
Yeah.
He's big time, dude.
He is. I've known him. I met him at camp like 2 years ago, which is funny. But he's
just a Texans fan with like a national account.
He's a Dolphins fan, but he lives in Houston.
Gotcha.
Like he goes to A&M and he's a Rockets fan. So he is like he lives in Houston, but he is a Dolphins fan. But he likes the Texans too. So he goes to the camp.
But I enjoy his content. He knows ball, bro.
He does.
He's like, I mean.
Yeah, because I like to I talk with him every so often, but literally I was just looking for people to ask. I asked Drew if he could go, because what's funny, I told Drew this. So my brother bailed on me essentially. I was gonna take my brother, and he wanted to play like his video games. So like, all right, man, you can stay home. So you can stay home, man. I don't care. So I asked like so many different people, and then I got to Nico, because Nico was I was on his stream the other day. He's playing like his college football dynasty. And he's like, man, I wanted to go to camp, but I couldn't get any tickets. So I was like, all right, I'll just throw it out there. But I do.
All he has to do is ask. You got like hundreds of thousands of followers, bro.
Not for real.
I
agree.
Yeah, Stressans. I have tickets for other days. I don't know which days you have tickets for, but
I have other ones, but
okay.
I'm gonna try to go with the friends Saturday. I might, put a tweet out, and if I do, we'll link up. But I'll let you know.
Yeah, for sure. Too. Let me know. Let me make it. Yeah, we'll have to meet up and stuff, because I'm meeting up with some other people, some other Texans people too. So, yeah, whatever other days you go to, I'll check whatever. If you're there, we'll go. We can meet up and stuff too. So, because I'm gonna be at most of the open ones, I think. I'm gonna try to make it to the joint practice as well. So,
yeah, I got tickets for that one for sure. So,
yeah,
those are always fun.
I think my friends have tickets, so I'm probably gonna just go with them. So that should be pretty fun. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. We almost had 600 viewers, so pretty awesome.
That's great.
Definitely. I know, Drew. I know we've had a busy summer for sure. I know I've had college stuff going on. You've had your Senior Bowl stuff, so we've been pretty busy. But we're definitely, when the season gets rolling, we're definitely going to get back to doing weekly stuff and being on here more frequently. So we appreciate all the support. Make sure y'all subscribe to the new YouTube. We just started the new Texans Probe YouTube and the Twitter. So it's just the Texans Probe. It's actually live on there right now, but obviously it's about to end. So check that out. And we appreciate Stressans for coming on.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Yep.